So, my top five from 2025 really has something for every kind of reader. I mean, we have autobiography, we have fantasy, we have nonfiction, we have horror, and last but not least, historical fiction, which I love as well. And pretty much I said to myself, what should my next video be? And we're still in January, so there's still a new year vibe going on. So, what better time to recap 2025 and talk about my five favorite books that I read in 2025? So, we're going to go five down to one being my absolute favorite read from last year. So, let's get started with number five, which is going to be Fahrenheit 182 by Mark Hoppus, who is, of course, a band member from Blink 182. And the book starts with Mark's childhood growing up in California, all the way to his journey into forming the band Blink 182. And pretty much everybody knows a member in that band was Tom DeLonge. And there was a lot of tension in the band, and I don't want to put the blame on Tom, but he was definitely a factor. And Mark talks about how there never was a calm moment being in that band. There was always this undertone of tension that this thing, the train might come off the tracks at any moment. And there was threats, and eventually one day, Tom just left the band. And it left Mark with a lot of questions, such as, is this it for me? Is this it for my career being in a band? What am I going to do now? And there's a lot of chapters about obviously the music, the albums, the music videos they made, which were very unique. And there's a lot of fun stories, and it's a lot of it is very funny. But at the heart of this book is Tom's cancer diagnosis. And he talks about how when he initially got the diagnosis, he was in, understandably so, the most darkest place imaginable, and he never thought he was going to get out of it. And you really see his journey from that to complete courage and facing his adversity the best way he possibly could. And my favorite moment from the book is a time when he went to get his chemotherapy treatment. And while he was in the chair, he thought it would be, I don't know if he thought it would be funny or if this is how he was going to let his family, just his immediate family, know about what he was doing, what was going on with him. But so he had somebody take a picture of him getting his treatment. And instead of sending it out to the family, he posted it to Instagram for the entire world to see. And initially he was like, oh shit, this is not good. But when he was hit with a wave of support, endless support, he said that this dumb mistake he made ended up being the best decision he ever made, because it's really what got him through it. So if you love rock and roll autobiographies, just autobiographies in general, this is definitely something you got to check out. So let's get to number four now. Okay, so number four is going to be none other than The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. And this is the first Abercrombie book I ever read. And I know that there's the Third Law trilogy, and a lot of people will tell you that that's one of the best fantasy trilogies out there, maybe the best one, I don't know. And having that knowledge, I don't want to read it just yet. I'm going to, absolutely. There's still other things I want to get through, and I kind of want to just leave that at the top of the mountain and just work towards it and just build up the anticipation. But when I found out that this book was coming out last year, I completely judged a book by its cover and thought the cover was awesome. So I saw that Joe was coming to a Barnes & Noble by me in New York City. So I bought a ticket, I went down there, and I got myself a copy of the book. And of course, I got Joe to sign it for me. And at this event, they had people kind of like open mic if they wanted to ask a question. So I said to myself, I got to take this opportunity to kind of converse with Joe Abercrombie a little bit. And I told him, I said, hey, Mr. Abercrombie, as someone who's never read any of your books, do you think that this is a good place to start? And he kind of comedically said, in terms of the financial aspect of it for myself, I think this would be a great place for you to start. So that was pretty funny how he delivered that. But what is this book about? So this book is about a group of misfits, and they are tasked by this priest named Brother Diaz, who was ordered by the church to bring a specific person to a specific place because they believe that they're the rightful heir, blah, 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 blah. But what at the heart of it, what this book is about is the five misfits. And they're sort of like Suicide Squad style group of people, and which is fun. So you got a necromancer, you got a vampire, you got an invisible elf, what was the other one? An immortal knight, and how should I put it? A rowdy wolf. And when you read the book, you'll know exactly kind of what I'm saying. So they go along with Brother Diaz to deliver this person to the specific place. And it's sort of a point A to point B type of book, and that might not be for everybody, sort of kind of like one note-ish, but it's what happens along this journey, the scenes and the interaction between this group of misfits. It is scary, it is damn funny, and if that is anything that you're into, you definitely got to check it out. I loved it. So with that being said, let's get to number 3. Okay, so number 3 is going to be The Road by Cormac McCarthy. Now, this is the first Cormac McCarthy book I've ever read. I know there's other really popular ones, but when I read what this one is about, I had to just get it immediately and just read it. So what it's about is it sort of takes place in this haunting post-apocalyptic world where there's an unspecified cause for why most of the population just got completely wiped out. And we follow this father and son on their journey basically for survival. That's it. That's what the book is about. Surviving. Just surviving. And they kind of have to just keep moving to survive. You can't, in this world, you can't stay stagnant. You can't stay in one place for fear that that's just going to bring you danger. So it's really interesting to see how kind of what they're faced with, and just thinking about the fact that they have to keep moving. It's exhausting, and you really feel it while you're reading it. And as somebody who has a son, I could not help but think about, if this was me and him, how would we handle this? Would I do just as good as the main character does? I don't know. The world is wild in this book. So if you like post-apocalyptic, if you like books that give you a feeling of isolation, if that's unsettling, then you're definitely going to love it. And there's also a graphic novel that I recently saw for this book. It looked absolutely beautiful. A lot of grays and whites and blacks, as you would imagine. So if you want to do the book, I would suggest the book, because the book is a classic. But if you really like images and imagery, definitely check out that graphic novel. So, okay, let's get into number 2. Okay, so number 2. I love this book. I can't stress how much I love this book. This book is King Sorrow by Joe Hill. And I think for the 3rd time in a row now, this is the first Joe Hill book I ever read. I always knew, in loving Stephen King, there's got to be a chance that I'm going to love Joe Hill stuff too. And this book, it was a complete hit. And I read that it's about a mystical dragon, fantasy, horror. I mean, what's not to love with all of that? So what it's about is a group of young kids. And one of these kids is having a problem with another group of individuals. So when you're faced with that situation, what are you going to do? Of course, you're going to try to summon a mythical dragon that helps you take care of people. So this isn't a spoiler or anything. It happens within the first couple pages of the book, but they summon this dragon. And how it works with this dragon is he will help take care of your problem if you do something for him. And part of the pact is if he's going to take somebody out for you, every single year, you have to give him one other subject to take care of. And that sounds good to them right now at a young age. Like, sure, no problem, that's easy. But these pages go through decades and decades and decades until their adulthood. And kind of just seeing how it all ends up, it was entertaining as all hell. I think the book is almost 900 pages long, but it went like that. You do not feel the weight of the length of the book. It moves quick. So please, 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 please give King Sorrow a chance. If you haven't yet, you will love it. And let's get to number 1. Okay, so for my favorite book of 2025, which for me came out of nowhere, and let's just get right into it. It is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Wow. I think it has to be the best historical fiction book I've ever read. It takes place during World War II in France, in a small village in France. And our main characters are 2 sisters. One sister who is more of the rebel, let's resist type, and the other one who is more of a family-oriented, homebody, kind of wants to just keep to herself and ignore certain things type. And what happens in this village where they live is the Nazis come in and they occupy the village. And that's always something that, just knowing history, that happened. But the way the author wrote this book, you really get a sense of the horrors that the people that lived in this village must have had. They were essentially kidnapped in their own homes. I mean, how terrifying is that? There are scenes in this book that will chill you to the core. You'll never ever forget them. And it just has a lot of themes of resistance, survival. What are you willing to do to make sure that you and your family survive? What lengths are you willing to go to ensure survival? And let me tell you, what these main characters may or may not do, it like I said, you may not be the same after reading this book. So that's it. That's the top 5. Let me know what you think. Are any of these books in your top 5? Do you maybe they're not in your top 5, you just love these books? Let me know, please. Let me know what your top 5 is. I'm very curious to know. I'm always willing to take suggestions, start new books, get out of my comfort zone a little bit. But that's all I'm going to have for this video. So please like, comment, and subscribe if you can. I really appreciate you coming by and checking out my channel and just giving it a chance. So that's it. Take care.